going on, everybody? Eric here on my right, this time in the front, Perry there in the back. So we all went to go see Birds of Prey. I almost said Harley Quinn movie.
The Harley Quinn movie.
Birds of Prey, the emancipation of
the
fantabulous emancipation of the one Harley Quinn. The Emancipation Proclamation of Harley Quinn. So I'm gonna be straight up. I think we all went into this film with pretty low expectations.
Yeah.
I think me and Perry we all saw the trailer and we were all thinking like, wow, this is gonna be a piss poor movie. I think Eric went into it thinking like, okay, I think I can just have fun with this.
Yeah.
But I really wasn't even having that much hope for it. Like I thought like I just wasn't gonna like this movie.
We didn't even
want
to see it at first.
No, it was really Eric that kind of
I dragged everybody to this one.
So I was like, you know what, fuck it, why not? There's really nothing else to watch. That being said, we had, we all went into this with very low expectations, and not to mention it's directed by Kathy Yon, I believe is how you pronounce it, and she's only made I think one other film that almost nobody has seen, and it is written by someone else whose name I can't think of, but she's only written
Christina Hudson. She's written Bumblebee and Shut In. I don't know about Bumblebee because I've never seen it, but Perry likes it apparently. But Shut In, I heard, was just a god-awful film. So, with all these things combined, with the trailer not being very good to us, and just the writing, the person that's directing it, the person that's writing it, not having a very solid resume, anybody can think that this film is going to be pretty horrible. And I gotta say, like, for me personally, I think we're gonna be kind of like divided here more or less, but I actually enjoyed this film. Not saying that it was really fantastic or even really great, but this was a pretty entertaining film to me. And for those people like who follow my channel, y'all know that I don't like comic book movies at all. Like most of the time I really just don't enjoy it at all. But I gotta say, like, for me personally, and I know I'm probably gonna be the only one here to say this, but like a film like this, like I would much rather see this film than a lot of Marvel movies. But that's just me, just because I just think that this is a bit more stylistic, and it's a bit more edgy in the sense that it doesn't just follow some like cookie cutter plot, even though there are some cliches here. But it was kind of refreshing to see something that wasn't so safe, because I feel like if this was PG-13, this film probably wouldn't have worked like at all. This would have been a much more unbearable film. But the R rating, they really utilized the R rating in this film to its advantage. They upped the violence, they upped the profanity, and one thing I really liked about the action in this film was that I feel like all the action sequences, not only were they pretty well directed, but like they all like flow within the narrative. Like I don't feel like there's not much like action in here that just feels like it's just extra, or it feels like it's just like choppy and just doesn't belong with the narrative. Like most of the action in here feels like it's just part of the actual narrative, and that helped the film be more engaging, because you tend to somewhat care about the action when it's happening, because there's an actual like conflict at hand when it's happening. So I really did appreciate that about this film. I think the weakest thing about this film is unfortunately the writing, because I think it's directed, quite fine. Like it's not stellar direction, but overall, like it is directed pretty well. It's just some of the writing, it's some of it is a little force-fed in your face, even though I think like that's kind of the point of the style too, because it does get kind of meta. It's not as meta as like Deadpool, but it has like little splashes of it throughout the film. And but sometimes it was just a little bothersome. And also like Harley Quinn's character overall, like it's just sometimes just annoying and kind of cringe sometimes to get through. Like it's just like, and I get like she's supposed to be like a really frustrating character that like nobody likes, like I get it, but it's just like sometimes it's just kind of hard to get through, because it just comes off kind of cringe the way that she is. It's not really the most enjoyable sometimes. But that being said, like again, I thought it was directed pretty well. I thought it was well shot for the most part. Yeah, the plot is a bit scattered at times too. Like it feels like it's a bit aimless. And also, like, again, it does fall into some cliches, like, oh, there's an object that they all have to obtain because of some conflict or whatever. Like, that's present in almost every single, like, comic book film or really any big budget film. In this film, it runs into that, unfortunately. But, overall, like, I actually enjoyed this film because even though the writing wasn't the best, like, it was good enough, like, to keep me engaged, and the directing was good enough as well. Just, like, again, I wasn't bored in this movie. Like, there was maybe times where I was less engaged than certain other parts, but, like, I can't say, like, with confidence that I was bored by anything that was in this movie. Like, I was engaged pretty much throughout it, and I really liked the third act of this film. I thought the third act was fucking awesome, honestly. It was just really well shot, and I felt the conflict at hand. The characters were likable, and like, it was, I don't know. I had fun with this movie, and I really didn't expect to, and that was quite surprising coming out of it. But that being said, I think I'm probably the only one in here that enjoyed it as much as I did. But I don't know, with that, I'll give it to somebody else.
I think Carlos might be wrong in that, where I think I enjoyed it pretty much on the same level as him. There were times in this movie that I was frustrated, but it was only because there was not a lot. I don't think it's accurate to say there was a lot, but there was some moments in this movie where it's just characters talking and there's just nothing engaging going on.
I feel you on that.
But everything that outside of those scenes are legitimately, like, kind of fun. Like, they're fun. They're not serious, but there's some pretty cool sequences. I mean, yeah, Harley Quinn's character is, like, supposed to be frustrating, but I still like her. I love Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. They gave her much more to do.
The writing isn't as bad as Suicide Squad either.
There's nothing in this movie that's as bad as Suicide Squad. Like, not even close. Not even fucking close. Yeah, man. My problems with this movie are, like, tropes also that I've seen before in other movies, and kind of same problems that I had with Suicide Squad, except they're just, like,
toned down.
Yeah, except they're just much more toned down. Like, I didn't like the structure of this movie sometimes, because it was like, okay, we're on this part of the story, but how did we get here? Let's rewind a bit and tell what happened in previous events. Yeah, that was kind of, like, aggravating. And then, like, I gotta be honest, I didn't really like Ewan McGregor in this movie.
Interesting.
I didn't either.
I really didn't like him. Like, he always felt like he's being reserved in some way. Like, I just didn't really buy him.
I feel like he didn't even belong in the movie. Like, they just wanted to make a parody of Black Mass, but I feel like an actor of his caliber didn't even belong in this movie. I actually felt like he was horribly miscast.
Yeah, I think he was miscast.
It's weird. Like, at first, I guess this is where I'm a bit different here, because, like, at first I didn't know how to feel about him. Like, at first I was like, I don't know if I'm really digging his character here. But I don't know, as the film progressed, like, I got what the film was trying to do with his character, and I thought, like, he sold what they wanted to do pretty well. And I guess I just found him hilarious. Like, I don't know if that was fully intentional or not, but I found his character, like, comical. Like, I thought it worked. Like, if they were going for him being comical, I think that really worked.
I couldn't tell. That's kind of the problem. It's like, is they going for laughs, or are they going for, like,
I feel the same way.
Or are they going for, like, a actually menacing villain? Because I'm not getting the menacing part.
I felt like there was a part, like, in near the end of the first act that let me know that they were going for something that was a bit more comical. But there's the menacing part. There is, like, a scene that does work for that moment, but I don't know. I can definitely see where you guys are coming from on that, though. Like, I don't think you guys are off base or anything. I guess it just worked for me because I felt like the film was going for that. Like, it was going for something that was a bit more comical, and I feel like it worked.
Right.
Because whenever he was on screen, like, I was enjoying it. Like, I don't know. I just found it. I guess I just found his character just funny and really effective in that department. And yeah, I just liked what they were going for with this character.
I guess that's why I don't think he was like miscast or anything, because I felt like he served well for what the film was going for.
Well, whether he was intended to be funny or whether he was intended to be menacing, like, for me personally, he failed on both fronts.
He wasn't horrible to me.
He wasn't horrible.
He just wasn't very, effective.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, I never really felt the stakes of the film, because the like, if they were trying to make Black Mass such a parody, like, I think they went a little bit too far to where I don't even think he was a threatening villain. Like, I didn't take him serious for 1 second. And I didn't feel any of the stakes when, you know, he was after Harley Quinn and, you know, company.
I don't know. I guess I'm different there, too, because that's one thing that I actually did enjoy about this film, was that I did kind of feel the stakes for the most part. Like, it didn't. That's why I liked the action, because I felt like there was a real conflict, and I felt like, yeah, sure, maybe not Harley Quinn's gonna fucking die, but maybe some of these people have their life in danger here. So I felt the stakes, and I guess it's just because even though I knew that he was comical, it doesn't mean that, you know, he can't do some damage, I guess. But I don't know. I guess I'm just different there. I feel like the film did a good enough job for me to feel the conflict and feel the stakes for certain parts.
Yeah, I don't completely think that, like, I'm not gonna fully say that I didn't feel the stakes, because I think at points I did. I just don't like the reason for things happening. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. I can see that.
It's like the goal, I guess, for Harley Quinn. It's like kind of just uninteresting, but I feel the importance of it, if that makes sense. The action in this movie is probably one of my favorite things about it. It was not bad at all.
Yeah.
Honestly, the action was pretty cool.
Some of the editing of, like, the action scenes reminded me of a Hack Snyder film. You know, the whole stop and start hit. Editing, where it slows down.
You expect that for every DC movie, by minus Joker.
It's
but,
so
like,
obnoxious, though.
Yeah.
I think it works. I think it worked not bad for this one.
Well, they toned it down in this one, but it's still, like, kind of bothersome, if you ask me.
Yeah, I see what you mean there.
I feel like they get. I'll give it to Perry in a second. I feel like it gets better, like, with each, like, installment, because, like, it's horrible, like in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
And then in Wonder Woman, it's like, okay, that's better. And then with this movie, it's like, okay, that's even better. And like, obviously, Joker doesn't utilize that at all to its advantage.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I will say this, though. I think the fact that this has a higher rating on Rotten Tomatoes is kind of a joke.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That high of a rating.
In comparison to Joker, I mean, because Joker, I think, is like in the 60s or low 70s. I don't remember.
I thought it was high.
Well, you got to think Birds of Prey is a crowd-pleasing movie.
Yeah.
Joker is a character study that really wanted to make the audience feel uncomfortable and a sense of depression, if you will.
Yeah, they're not in the same universe.
Not at all.
Yeah, they're not.
So, of
Joaquin
course,
Phoenix
people are going to respond more to Birds of Prey, it being a character study, you know, because audiences don't want to be challenged. They just want crowd pleasers.
I mean, or critics either, though, because the critics are the ones that gave. I mean, I know how the Rotten Tomatoes meter works. It's just like, if you give it a tomato, that just means that you recommend it to somebody.
Mm.
But, like, apparently among critics, like, there is less people recommending Joker than Birds of Prey, which I think is
ridiculous,
pretty absurd, honestly. Yeah. But I mean, I think part of what you said is correct, is that it's, you know, this is more of like a crowd-pleasing movie, and it's nothing really controversial about it except for some of the violence and stuff like that, and the fact that it cusses a lot. You know, this doesn't try to really say anything about anything, really. It's just kind of just a fun movie.
It is just a really just fun movie.
Yeah.
There's nothing controversial about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I guess there might be some fucking man-children on the internet be like, oh, it's women. Because I'm not saying that, like, that's always the case or that's never the case. Because some people exaggerated it and say, like, anybody who hates this movie just hates women.
Yeah, and then anybody who loves it is just like a feminist lefty or something like that.
Yeah, but there are some people who legitimately kind of exhibit that. But it's not.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near, like...
No, it's not that level of stuff, in my opinion. It doesn't meet, like, that level in this film.
Yeah, of course.
It definitely is not, like, it doesn't shovel, you know, that type of stuff in your face. It's never too, like, in your face about, the fact that Harley Quinn and company are women, and, you know, all the villains in the film are men. It's never too in your face.
It's funny because it's, like, there. Like, it's obviously there.
Right.
But there's only maybe, like, a few parts where you feel like it's trying to send that message.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's a little bit kind of bothersome, but not really to the point where I felt like, it's taking me out.
Watch Captain Marvel and you'll be like, oh wow, fucking Birds of Prey is a subtle masterpiece.
I've never seen Captain Marvel's, but I'm betting you're right on that.
I think I dodged a bullet not watching that.
And I wanted to watch this. I do not want to watch Black Widow. The only reason I want to watch Black Widow is because of Rachel Weisz and Florence Pugh. And
Don't you want to hear their terrible Russian accent?
But I feel like that movie has nothing to offer, really.
I mean, I don't know.
Another Marvel movie.
Yeah. Standard Marvel film.
Yeah, and see, that's the problem. Marvel always keeps making a lot of the same crap that we've come to the point where it's going to be a standard Marvel movie.
This film has a personality.
Yeah, that's what I like about this movie. Is that at least it has a personality, some sort of style to it, and that's I can respect the shit out of that.
It's different.
Yeah,
it is different.
And that again, that's why I made the claim at the beginning of this review is that I would kind of much rather see a film like this than most Marvel movies. Not all of them, but a good chunk of them, because a good chunk of them do come off just like they're following a template. And this felt like, again, it kind of was doing its own thing, and I can definitely respect that out of the film.
Yeah. There was a scene that actually ripped off the Boondock Saints in this film.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw that movie forever ago, so I don't remember.
Okay, so the scene where the cop is
it a spoiler?
No, it's not a spoiler. Where the cop is explaining a crime scene, and it shows as the cop's explaining the crime scene.
Oh, it has the way it's shot, it's going back and forth in time. Yeah,
right. They did the exact same thing in Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
I'm I know where y'all got this idea from.
I thought that part was kind of cool though too. It's weird because I thought it was effective, the style, but I guess some of it I felt like it could have been done better at the same time. It's weird.
Not that it was bad. It's just I've seen this before.
Yeah.
I've seen it done in a different film, and I think that film did it better. Even though I know you're not a biggest fan of Boondock Saints, but I think Boondock Saints did it better.
Yeah.
I think the thing that really killed this film for me was the structure. Like you said, the script was the weakest aspect of the film, and it's just really obnoxious how exposition heavy this film felt, because it was literally, it would show you a scene and then it would fill you in on all this information for about 10 or 15 minutes and then resume the scene, and it lost a lot of the emotional engagement I wanted, from the film. And once I lost that emotional engagement, I really didn't give a shit. Don't get me wrong, I think the climatic scene and the final act of the film was pretty cool overall, and the action choreography in this film is pretty awesome overall, but I really wasn't invested in the story because I hated the structure of this film.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I could forgive the structure, honestly, if it just toned down some of the narration a bit.
Yeah, same.
I get what they were going for with the whole again, this film has splashes of meta in it, and some of that, that was kind of part of it, the kind of voiceover narration. But I could forgive the weird structure of having something stop and then going back for literally 15 or 20 minutes and then finally getting back to where we were at. I could forgive that if it's just the movie would just shut up every now and then, but it didn't.
The thing is going with that structure is very hackneyed, because there are other films that have done the same thing, like Bad Times at the El Royale, and it doesn't work. It didn't work for that film, and it definitely doesn't work here.
Yeah.
I you know me, I hate voiceover narration in the film, and of course I really is the voiceover narration as bad as Gretel and Hansel? But no, it's not, but it's still kind of obnoxious. Plus, I didn't like the way this film opened with the whole animated.
Oh, I like that.
I like that.
I like that too.
I really.
I actually dug that a lot.
Actually, when that came on, I was kind of thinking, I actually might enjoy this movie.
That was the thing that made me sink in my seat. And you're like, oh,
no,
interesting.
I thought it was cool.
Interesting reaction, because mine was pretty the opposite, honestly.
Same here. I was like, oh, it's neat.
But I guess that's how it is sometimes, I guess. But
there wasn't anything about this movie that was horribly offensive to me.
No, not at all.
My problem is the dialogue. The dialogue is kind of cheesy.
There's also a few parts that I felt like we're actually trying to be serious, and it didn't really work. Just because of the dialogue. and how it was written.
Did anybody find the soundtrack obnoxious? Because
At times.
I found the soundtrack extremely obnoxious.
That's something I wanted to mention. That's one of the things that carried over from Suicide Squad is the over-reliance on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of annoying.
There were times where I thought like it was fun and it was cool, but then sometimes I felt like it was just too much. Like I'm like, damn, y'all need to chill. Like every scene doesn't need some iconic fucking track on it.
Yeah, I completely agree. That was kind of annoying.
Yeah, and I like how when it tried to have an emotional scene, like the music was just so overbearing and manipulative. Like it's not working.
Yeah.
It tells you how to feel by the score for sure.
A lot of Hollywood movies run into that fucking issue.
Sure.
Yeah, it's weird because I think I like all the characters in this film except the villain and the pickpocket girl. I found the pickpocket girl unbearable to watch.
She wasn't great, but I didn't think she was too bad.
Yeah, that's my thought.
My favorite my favorite performances in the movie were what the fuck is her name?
Margot Robbie?
Margot Robbie, but Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Oh, is that the one from like 10 Cloverfield Lane and shit?
And Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, she was cool. She was funny as shit.
Yeah, I liked her a lot. I kind of wish she had more screen time, honestly.
Me too,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
I liked the joke that was kind of written behind her character. I thought that was well done. The whole like crossbow killer thing.
Oh yeah.
Was funny.
Mm-hmm.
I found the writing of like some of the like Harley Quinn especially a little inconsistent because she has a background in psychiatry, psychiatry, but there were some like decisions in the film and some moments in the film where she just came off extremely not just frustrating but just downright dumb. Like
she is supposed to be like I'm such a klutz character.
Yeah, I mean, I get like I could forgive her being ditzy in some scenes, but it's just weird how she would make really dumb decisions and then be able to psychoanalyze somebody within like 30 seconds. And then come up with a plan in like 10 seconds.
To be fair, like, not everybody who gets a degree in something or ends up being a really bright individual, they just might be good in that field, but maybe when it comes to other things in life, they're just dumb.
So you're saying she just lacks common sense. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe, yeah.
Because I think she lacked common sense in this film, for sure.
What I like about in this movie is, like, in Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn literally does nothing.
That's true.
Does nothing at all, but just look pretty. But in Birds of Prey, you actually feel like she has like she can escape like bad situations and is like kind of she's like an action hero. She's like a full-on action hero in this movie.
One thing that I will say that I didn't like that much about this film was like I felt like the fucking like plausibility factor I had to throw out sometimes. Like of things that didn't really make sense. I'm like, you can't do that and then go from A to B from something that happened from point A. Like, I don't know. Like, there were a lot of times where I just, like, had to just, like, completely throw logic at the window. And I get it. It's a comic book movie. You have to do that a lot. But, yeah, in my opinion, you have to kind of try your best to make something believable, even though if it's kind of out there. And there are some times where I just had to just kind of throw that shit out the fucking window.
Yeah.
That's funny you say that because I feel like I commend this movie for not being too over the top with the superhero stuff. It felt kind of more on the ground compared to Suicide Squad even.
And there's one moment,
Justice League.
There's one moment in particular that goes full like superhero power.
I think
movie.
I know what you're talking about.
I did not like
that was annoying.
That was a little out of place.
Yeah.
I didn't like that either.
But
it felt very out of place.
Well, the weird thing about this film is like all the characters were tied in because one character would be in the room while something was happening to another character that would affect the plot later, and it just happened again and again, and it kind of made the film feel pretty repetitive. Like, that's what I'm talking about. It's like the structure of this film makes the film feel really repetitive until you get to the climatic, action sequence.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I can see that argument.
Yeah, because it was like, oh, this happens to Mary Elizabeth Winstead, but somebody happened to be in the room and saw it happen to her, and that affects the plot later.
Yeah,
it was always like right place, right time.
I can kind of see what you're saying.
To tie everyone together in the third act.
But when this movie just like went fucking crazy off the ground, like it was fun.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, I really enjoyed myself watching this movie for the most part, more than I really expected to. Like I'm saying, it's not fantastic. I don't even really think it's great, but I think it's good. Like, I think it's a pretty, like, good movie. Like, I don't know. It's solid for sure.
I guess
not nearly as trash as I thought it was going to be.
I'm glad
not
it's...
Not nearly at all.
Go ahead.
It feels like it just... Like, there was things about it that were unique, but I feel like overall it's just kind of like your standard Hollywood film.
There's moments that I felt like that.
There's very Hollywood stuff in it, but I'm glad it had a voice and it was different from, like, the Marvel fucking formula.
Like you said, it had a personality to it, and that's what I really enjoyed most about it too. And again, it like I said at the beginning of this, it used the R rating to its full advantage, and I really liked that it did that. There's even parts in here that are like really just like grossly violent. I was like, shit, I didn't.
I was surprised there was some like ultra violence.
The bone breaking in here was laughable.
The what?
The bone breaking, like whenever someone's bones got broken, I'm like, that was laughable. That looks so incredibly fake.
I didn't have a problem with it.
It wasn't nearly as bad as Gretel and Hansel.
I enjoyed Gretel and Hansel, but I don't know.
I'm talking about the effects. I mean, I guess it makes sense. This has a way bigger budget.
Probably like $100 million going to this movie.
True.
Probably.
Yeah. But I shouldn't get Gretel and Hansel when it's down.
But anyways, yeah, I think that's about all we got to say about it. I'll just go ahead and give my rating.
Yeah.
Like I said, I actually enjoyed this film more than I thought I would. It definitely's got its issues, mostly with the writing and some of the plot and dialogue and stuff. But overall, like, the action was really fun. I like the direction. It has a style to it that I really enjoyed. And with that being said, I'll give Birds of Prey a 6.8 out of 10.
The oof. I'm not too far off base. I enjoyed it, and honestly, I'd recommend it. I think people who enjoy these comic book movies are really gonna actually like it. Probably way more than us.
I doubt that, because they'll probably blow it out of proportion and say it's horrible. They'll either blow it out of proportion because these comic book fans are so hyperbolic.
They'll
either say it's horrible, just as bad as Suicide Squad, if not worse, or they'll think it's the greatest thing they've ever seen.
I think comic book fans will actually really enjoy this, honestly.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's going to go either direction.
No, you're right,
They
though.
think it's the greatest thing that they've ever seen or the worst pile of shit they've ever seen. There's no in between with those people.
Right.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. My rating. 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. So, technically fresh.
Perry about to pull out the 2 out of 10.
No. It's not Suicide Squad. That's a 2 out of 10.
Suicide Squad's a 1 out of 10. What you're talking about?
Not according to Mundane Matt. Who's now irrelevant.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought it was really mediocre and just kind of your standard Hollywood film. There was definitely things I really enjoyed about it. But overall, I just found some of the writing and some of the editing a little unforgivable. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10.
Not terrible.
Yeah, not terrible.
It's not too mixed. You got 5, 6, 6.8, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I have a low tolerance for, like, mediocre, like, superhero movies, because Dark Phoenix was the second worst movie I saw last year. Yeah, that movie was awful. I never want to see anything like it again.
I heard that was a special type of awful.
And there wasn't anything even, like, remote, like, bottom of... It was just, like, so forgettable. It's just nothing. It has nothing to offer. It was the Curse of La Llorona for big budget blockbusters. It was literally just like that.
You put it that way, it makes it sound absolutely fucking horrible.
Yeah, really. Just like how that movie had nothing to offer. That's Dark Phoenix. Had nothing to offer.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's awful, man. I'm sorry I had to go through that.
It's okay.
I mean, and you guys know me too. Like the people who actually follow me on this channel know that I don't fucking like superhero movies or comic book movies.
I probably like superhero movies the most out of us, but I don't even love it. I'm getting tired of it too.
But I mean, I don't know. I found this pretty enjoyable for the most part. It's not like Joker or anything. Like, it's not as good as that. And I don't know. Like I said, I think it's a bit tragic that this has a higher rating on a Rotten Tomatoes than Joker does. I think that's kind of a joke.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't surprise me. It's just like Joker just like taking like chances. and it's trying to. I mean, it in a way it is political. So
yeah,
that's inherently going to divide people. And this movie just wants to be fun.
Yeah. All right, I guess that's it, fellas.
I guess that's all.
That's about it. What?
Don't forget to tune in to our Oscar live stream this Sunday.
Yes, thank you for that. Yeah,
good catch.
We're gonna have an Oscars live stream. If you have nothing to do and you want to see some losers react to the Oscars, check us out at around 8:30 p.m. We're gonna be live streaming it, reacting to the whole piece of shit show that's gonna happen.
Eastern Standard Time, by the way.
Eastern Standard Time, 8 o'clock. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
We all have our own predictions for it as well, so we get to see who got most of them right, and it's just gonna be a fun time.
Yeah, I always like to take chances, even though, and I like to think that's what I mean. No,
I won last year, so who knows if I'm gonna retain.
I try to take chances, but then I feel like I'm done taking chances because like sometimes it pays off and sometimes it really doesn't.
It's a good mixture for me this year.
I feel like this year is easier to predict than it was last year because last year was such a shit show.
Last year was supposed to be easy to predict, but they just threw a wrench everywhere.
Exactly, that's exactly how I feel. The Oscars themselves are.
Well, they might do it again this year. We don't fucking know. They might just throw a wrench in every.
Yeah, Jojo Rabbit Best Picture.
Which I kind of would be. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it deserves Best Picture.
If anything wins Best Picture and it's not Parasite, I'll be upset. I'm sorry.
I won't be upset if
1917. I'm just kidding.
No, I do not want that.
That has a chance, by the way.
I'd be okay if like Irishman or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or Marriage Story.
Oh yeah, there you go. Those movies.
Those three I would be okay with. But
I would be okay with Jojo Rabbit.
I'm gonna say this. I'd much rather Joker win than 1917. I'll actually be really upset if 1917 if Joker wins. I'll be like,
I'd be cool if Joker wins, The Irishman wins, and Parasite wins, and even Jojo Rabbit.
I want Parasite to win so bad.
I wouldn't be pissed off if 1917 won, but I would see why people would because it's just kind of like compared to all these other films, I don't think it's as great. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I don't know. I would be a little frustrated.
That's a good chance to win.
It does. It has actually the most chance, I think. But I would be a little frustrated at that because I mean I think it's fine and it's a good movie, but like.
Carlos, you just don't get it.
I don't know, man. It's a good movie. I enjoyed watching it. I watched it twice, but
I think it's excellent. I've seen it 7 times.
Little Men Best Picture winner.
Uncut Gems should actually win Best Picture.
God, man.
The Lighthouse should win Best Picture.
Exactly. I love Uncut Gems so much.
Such an awesome movie.
I think about it so often.
Anyways, that's all we got to say about Birds of Prey. So if you really enjoyed what we had to say, please give this video a like and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.